Welcome to Mystery Date. This show was created first and foremost for entertainment purposes. While we do our best to research our topics, nothing discussed on this show should be taken as absolute fact. Opinions, theories, and interpretations are just that. Listener judgment is encouraged.
For as long as people have buried their dead, they've also asked the same unsettling question. What if some of them didn't stay gone? Long before night vision cameras and reality TV crews, ghost hunting was something very different. It wasn't entertainment, it wasn't tourism. It was philosophers sitting alone in dark houses to test their sanity. Priests documenting footsteps they couldn't explain. Scientists risking their reputations to study voices that had no bodies. Some believed ghosts were proof of the soul. Others thought they were psychological fractures, cultural echoes, or elaborate frauds. Many weren't sure at all, but they kept investigating anyway. Tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on the art of ghost hunting. Not the jump scares, not the gadgets, but the real history, the earliest recorded investigators, the uneasy partnerships with the church, the shift from quiet notebooks to commercial spectacles, and the uncomfortable truth that ghost hunting has always said as much about the living as it does about the dead. Because whether ghosts are real or not, one thing is undeniable. Humans have been chasing them for centuries, and they haven't stopped yet.
I'm Christian.
I'm Kate.
Welcome to Mystery Date. It's date night, meaning we get to talk about all things mysterious and weird.
This season is called A Haunting, and it explores all kinds of haunting mysteries to deal with ghosts and other paranormal things in our world.
Tonight's mystery is all about the art of ghost hunting.
Sit back, grab your favorite drink, and let's start the show.
Sticking with classic ginger ale today.
Yeah, yummy.
Nothing too fancy, nothing too hard.
I love ginger ale.
Ginger ale's great. Oh,
it's delicious. It's like
yummy.
One of the only carbonated beverages I actually like.
That's true. Honestly, that's one of the only ones I really see you go for.
Yeah.
That, and you like syrup mist, I feel like.
Sometimes I like Sierra Mist to balance out a cocktail.
That's fair.
I don't really drink a lot of soda or carbonated beverages, but I'll do a ginger ale anytime.
Well, getting into it, what do you know about ghost hunting?
I know about the Warrens, and I know about today's YouTube version where it's people with gadgets going around with their smartphones and stuff like that. But that's about it.
Did you ever watch any ghost hunter shows or anything like that when you were young?
Not really. I mean, I'm sure I saw an episode or two in passing here or there, but I was not really ever watching those shows.
Okay, that's fair.
I did watch Ghost Whisperer, but that was a fictional
I was like, I
drama.
don't know that one. I've
yeah.
heard of it, but I did not watch
that
one.
that was a whole different type of series.
Okay, well, shout out Ghost Whisperer
But
fans.
I liked that one.
Before we jump too farther into it, I just want to say again, if you like Mystery Date and you want to support us, please give us a like, a subscribe, a share. Any way that you interact with the show helps us immensely, and we appreciate it. But getting into it, let's learn a little bit about ghost hunting. I wanted to include this episode in our season because, well, diving into all things haunting, we have to learn about those who actually document all of these things. And what a great way than to learn the history of the art.
Yeah.
So getting into it. Long before night vision cameras, EMF meters, and reality television, the act of ghost hunting was not entertainment. It was inquiry, sometimes religious, sometimes philosophical, often dangerous to one's reputation. The earliest ghost hunters were rarely thrill seekers. They were theologists, scholars, physicians, and occasionally judges who believed that understanding apparitions might unlock something essential about the human soul. One of the earliest figures frequently cited in discussions of systematic ghost investigation is Pliny the Younger, a Roman author and magistrate writing in the early 2nd century CE. In a letter to his friend Licinus Sura, Pliny recounts a story set in Athens about a haunted house so notorious that it stood vacant despite its low rent. No matter what era you're in, it's always hard to move that real estate if someone dies there.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting that that's always been a thing.
According to Pliny, the haunting involved the apparition of an emaciated man, bound in chains, who appeared nightly to rattle his shackles and terrify inhabitants. Kind of sounds like that ghost from A Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
Fuck, what's his name?
I don't remember if... Well, oh, you're talking about Marley.
Yeah, the first
Yeah,
ghost
I guess, Marley is he does
Marley.
that, yeah. Marley does basically appear and start shaking chains at Scrooge, so it's kind of funny.
A Stoic philosopher named Athenodorus chose to investigate the house, deliberately staying inside overnight. When the apparition appeared, Athenodorus followed it to the courtyard, where it apparently vanished. Excavation the next day revealed a skeleton bound in chains. After proper burial rites were performed, the haunting ceased. Pliny does not present this as hearsay. He frames it as a reasoned inquiry, weighing testimony and outcome. His concluding remark is telling. I am inclined to believe it, though I leave others to judge for themselves. It's pretty interesting. One of the earliest cases of, again, an investigation, essentially. You have this guy being like, yeah, I'll go visit this haunted house. Does it, gets led to the backyard, and then they find remains.
Yeah, I like that was his next move. He's like, all right, well, the ghost led me back here. Let's start digging. Let's search. What did he want me to find? And then they find a body that happens to also be in chains, like this ghostly figure. It's like, how would anybody have known that? And then the fact they're like, okay, we gave him proper burial, and now apparently he's at peace because he's gone. Like,
so something bad must have happened. I mean, that sounds like a residual haunting.
Yeah.
Pointing someone to where they are, being like, no, you have to put me to rest.
Right. Like, please find my body. Find my body.
So something bad probably happened there.
Yeah.
This careful neutrality becomes a recurring theme in early ghost hunting. These figures were not claiming authority over the supernatural. They were documenting patterns and outcomes. During the Middle Ages, ghost investigation became deeply entangled with Christian theology. Apparitions were no longer neutral phenomena. They were categorized either as divine, demonic, or human souls temporarily released from purgatory. One of the most influential thinkers to engage with the topic was Augustine of Hippo. In The City of God, a book of Christian philosophy, Augustine addresses reports of ghosts and spirits, acknowledging that apparitions were widely reported, but expressing caution in interpreting them. He famously wrote that the dead do not normally return to interact with the living, and that many such encounters could be deceptive spirits. This theological framework did not eliminate ghost hunting, but reframed it as a spiritual discernment rather than exploration. By the late medieval period, detailed ghost accounts appeared in legal and Christian records. One particularly famous case occurred in 12th century England and was recorded by William of Newburgh. Does that name sound at all familiar to you?
I don't know, maybe.
Season 1, little hint.
I'm bad at names.
William of Newburgh was the one who first accounted the story of the Green Children of Woolpit.
Oh my God. And now he's got ghost stories too.
Yeah, which I will have to say, maybe this is our first correction as Mystery Date. In that episode, we said that this guy wasn't super famous for fictional works. Depends on what you think of ghost stories and his works with this, but it could be interpreted as fictional.
Yeah, but I remember us talking about in the Green Children episode how most of it, at least to the community at the time, was seen as religious documents, not as works of fiction. That just comes down to whether, well, are you religious or not? Because if you're not, then you probably think everything to do with religion is fiction.
Yes.
So like there's definitely a gray area there. there's a line to walk. But I think that we still stand in what we said, because from his point of view and his community and church's point of view, he wasn't writing fiction. He was documenting spiritual activity.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, you're right. No, it's not a correction. He thought it was real.
Yeah.
William documented several revenant cases, and a revenant is basically kind of a catch-all term for a soul that comes back to life, or a human that comes back to life after their death. These cases included the so-called Walking Dead of Berwick and Buckingham. These were not wispy apparitions, but physical corpses believed to rise from their graves and spread disease.
Oh my God, the earliest zombie story.
This guy is actually pretty cool, and I'm not going to be surprised if we do a full episode on him one point, because during some of this research, I did not look into it too much because that wasn't the point of this episode, but I logged it in the back of my mind. I saw several articles that was like, William of Newburgh, the medieval vampire hunter.
Oh my God.
Or like shit like that. And I'm like, oh my God, who is this guy?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's already come up more than once in our various mysteries of different themes.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll come up again.
So I would not doubt if we end up doing some episode on this guy.
And that's way back. That's like just after medieval times, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is the 12th century.
Yeah, like... This is way back. Already having zombie stories.
So in these zombie cases, investigations were conducted by the clergy and local officials. Remedies included exhumation, burning of the corpses, or placing absolution letters in the grave. While modern readers may recoil, these accounts demonstrate something crucial. Structured investigation, witness interviews, and attempts at resolution were already in practice. The Enlightenment brought a pretty dramatic shift going forward. Ghosts were no longer solely a matter of priests. They became subjects for scientific curiosity. One of the most significant early modern ghost investigators was Joseph Glanville, a 17th century philosopher and fellow of the Royal Society. A fellow.
That's what I call my dog.
My fellow.
He's my good fellow.
He is a good fellow. Glanville believed that well-documented ghost stories provided evidence for the existence of the soul, which in turn supported belief in God.
That's true.
I mean, yeah. Arguably, if you believe in ghosts, you would kind of have to believe in some sort of afterlife, whether that's the Christianity version or whatever version, but there has to be something.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess technically if you believe in a soul, you probably believe something happens to it when your body dies, whether it's a Christian heaven or hell or something completely different. It could even not be a religious thing, like maybe you think something more sci-fi sounding happens to your soul. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of beliefs out there. But at the end of the day, like, if you believe in a soul, there is a piece of the human makeup that science can't quite explain. And it does very much coincide with ghost stories kind of have to be real then, don't they?
I mean, something's going on. If
something happens to our soul when our body dies, who's to say that occasionally that something can't go wrong in the process and leave the soul trapped out in the open as a ghost?
So back to it. Joseph Glanville wrote a book that I'm not even going to attempt to read the name of. So Kate is going to read it and she's going to try that.
Okay. Seducismus Triumphatus.
Yeah, fuck that. So
come on, it's pretty phonetic.
That's horrible though.
Yeah, it sounds like very Greek or something.
That sounds
it's
just so fake.
Yeah.
It sounds like somebody trying to make up Greek.
A triumphatus does kind of sound like a made-up Greek word that it might not be, but it does give that vibe. Sounds like something you'd hear in Disney's version of Hercules and not the real version.
So the triumphatus compiled sworn testimonies, eyewitness accounts, and corroborated stories of hauntings and witchcraft. Glanville insisted on careful documentation and rejected anonymous or poorly sourced claims. I would not be thought credulous, he wrote, but neither will I reject evidence because it offends the fashionable disbelief of the age. I like that.
I was gonna say, I like this guy.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
He's like, I know most people don't believe me, but also, I'm not gonna just believe anybody who wants to add to my story either. Like, you back your argument, check your sources. Where'd you get this info? Like, he says, he's turning some people away. And he's also like, look, I don't care if you don't want to hear what I have to say because it goes against your precious beliefs. If it's real, it's real.
Yeah, who am I to argue that?
I just am putting it out there.
No, I like that a lot. Perhaps the most influential early ghost hunters emerged in the 19th century with the rise of spiritualism. This movement claimed that communication with the dead was not only possible, but repeatable. Figures like Emanuel Swedenborg claimed extensive journeys into the spirit world, while investigators attempted to separate fraud from phenomenon. In 1882, the formation of the Society for Psychical Research marked the first sustained institutional attempt to study ghosts scientifically. That was a big sentence. You should be proud of me.
I am. You also got Psychical Research Center, correct?
Yeah, I'm proud of that one. Yeah. You should be too, audience.
It's one of those words where it's like it should be simple enough. It's psychical.
Psychical.
But when you say it, it's like there's
That's
no
wrong.
way that's right. That sounds silly.
Like triumphatus.
English is fun.
Members included philosophers, physicists, and psychologists. They conducted controlled seances, cataloged apparitions, and introduced classification systems still referenced today, which we've talked about those as well.
Yeah.
One early SPR investigator, Frederick W. H. Myers, described ghost hunting not as a belief, but as the systematic exploration of the unknown borderlands of human experience. Wow. What a statement.
The unknown borderlands of the experience. I like that.
Yeah, that's a statement.
Yeah.
By this point, ghost hunting had become something recognizable. You had interviews, documentation, skepticism paired with curiosity. The bones of the practice were in place.
It was making its way into the church as well.
Oh, yeah.
With this categorization of demonic and angelic, and like now you've got it.
You got priests investigating.
Yeah, I'm like you've got it pretty weaved into the Christian religion by now.
Which is a good segue because now we're going to talk about ghost hunters and the church.
I haven't even read this.
The relationship between ghost hunters and the church is older than the term ghost hunter itself. For centuries, clergy were the default investigators of hauntings, but cooperation did not always mean agreement. In Catholic tradition, unexplained phenomena were often first assessed by local priests. The church distinguished hauntings caused by restless human souls, demonic oppression, or natural causes. One of the clearest documented collaborations between investigators and the church occurred during cases of alleged demonic infestation, where priests relied on lay testimony and observation before escalating matters. A well-documented example is the 1928 case at the Borley Rectory in England, later dubbed the most haunted house in England, which we will be covering this season.
Nice. Keep an eye out.
Yes, keep an eye out. The haunting was initially investigated by clergy before drawing the attention of Harry Price, who worked alongside church officials to document phenomena. While Price's methods were later criticized, contemporary records show cooperation rather than hostility. The church allowed access, hoping documentation might clarify whether the events were spiritual, psychological, or fraudulent. The outcome, however, damaged trust. Accusations of exaggeration and manipulation followed, and Borley became a cautionary tale about public overwhelming pastoral care. In contrast, some collaborations were quietly effective. In the early 20th century, several Italian dioceses documented hauntings attributed to souls in purgatory. Priests would invite scholars or physicians to observe before conducting masses for the dead. Records indicate that many such disturbances ceased following religious rites. While skeptics point to psychological relief as a factor, the church viewed these outcomes as validation of theological doctrine rather than ghost hunting success. So now you have the church taking credit
Yeah.
for what ghost hunters are doing, being like, no, if anything, that proves more of what we did than what the ghost hunter did.
It just proves God's power and the power of holy water and saying your Hail Marys and Our Fathers.
Exactly. Not the work that,
Yeah, it has nothing to do with you scientists.
Perhaps the most famous modern intersection of ghost hunting and the church occurred in the mid-20th century with cases of alleged possession. While possession differs from haunting, investigations often overlapped. Priests relied on external observers, including doctors and researchers, to rule out mental illness. That's
fair.
Yeah, that's probably good.
Yeah, that's like they said before, too. They're like, well, half of the job was, yes, trying to prove the existence or help the ghosts pass on or whatever. Like, part of the job was ghosts. But most of the job was just trying to see who was lying.
Or who needed help. Who was
it's like
genuinely ill.
who's genuine in this story, who needs mental or medical help, and who is looking for fame.
I'm looking for fame.
I'm looking for all of those things. I have genuine stories. I need mental and medical help, and I'm here for fame, baby. That's what we call the triple threat.
In some cases, the cooperation with the church led to resolution. In others, it caused lasting harm. Critics argue that misinterpretation delayed medical treatment. I could see that too.
Yeah. It's the same with when we were talking about the Salem witch trials. It's like, maybe there was something actually wrong with one of these girls. Like, maybe they have epilepsy, and instead you're like, she doesn't have a seizure disorder. She's obviously been cursed by a witch. And then it goes into this whole town-wide religious scandalized thing, and it's like, maybe the first girl just had epilepsy.
Yeah, maybe she
or
needed
something.
help.
Yeah, like, maybe you should have taken her to a doctor instead of baking a witch cake or something. I don't know,
whatever
man.
the fuck that was.
Sounds like similar shit, honestly.
The church's modern stance is markedly more cautious. Official Vatican guidelines discourage sensationalism and emphasize psychological evaluation. Independent ghost hunters are rarely granted access to church cases today, and when cooperation does occur, it is tightly controlled. The church learned, often painfully, that inviting external investigators can escalate fear rather than calm it. The legacy of these collaborations is mixed. At their best, they combined observation, restraint, and care for the afflicted. At their worst, they created folklore factories that fed public panic. Yeah, you win some, you lose some.
Yep. Little of this, little of that.
So, I had a question here for you after that. Who would you trust, like, if your house was being haunted, or if our house was being haunted? Because we're not religious, so we're not going to the church like some people would say.
Yeah.
What would we do? Would we post on Reddit?
Honestly, probably. I'd probably go to Reddit or find one of those more famous YouTuber ghost hunter peoples,
yeah.
and I would reach out to them and I'd be like, hey, so we have a situation. If we could get your input, that'd be great.
Yeah,
and then see what they say.
Sam and Colby.
Yeah.
You know what? Not
Shout
that
out.
you're watching this, but if you are, we're going to keep you on retainer if we get a ghost here.
No, who am I going to call? Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters.
I don't need a priest. I can call Ghostbusters.
Well, we are Ghostbusters.
That's true. No, to be honest, if we were being haunted or having some sort of demonic oppression happening in the house, I would just be like, oh, time to sell the house.
What if the demon always stopped our contact with a lender?
What?
Specifically to sell the house or a real estate agent?
I'd be like, fuck it. I'll just leave and I'll live in my car. The thing that I always am bashing people in horror movies for is that I'm like, why are they trying so hard to save this place or to keep living here when they're being tortured? move in with grandma until you make something else work. Like,
It's
I don't
not worth
like
it.
it's a house. I understand it's home, but like also you're being tortured and oppressed and possibly possessed. Is it really worth it for the freaking crown molding? Like, just move.
I mean, if rent is really low.
Like, I remember being mad at the Conjuring movie, one of them for that, and you're like, yeah, but like they're in assisted housing. Where are they gonna go? I'm like, in the car. Like, I would live in my car before just continuing to live with hauntings that can't be resolved.
Those
like,
families in the Conjuring, though, are like 8 people. You can't shove them in a car.
Those kids all have friends at school.
What does that mean? They go live in their friends' cars?
No, go have a sleepover with your friend.
Forever?
As much as you can.
No, as much as you can.
You think parents aren't already doing that shit, pawning their kids off onto other parents as often as possible?
I think it's different when you're pawning them off, and when if the kid doesn't go, he's going to have to sleep outside. This is why we don't have kids.
Yeah, so that in case a haunting happens, I have the ability to just pack up and leave. You gotta be proactive about these things.
So back to it, we're going to talk about some modern ghost hunting. Modern ghost hunting presents itself as a technological evolution, but its foundations remain strikingly similar to those of its predecessors. Interviews and witnesses, environmental observation, pattern recognition, and documentation are still central. What has changed is the language. Where Joseph Glanville spoke of testimony, modern investigations speak of data. EMF meters, digital recorders, thermal cameras, and motion sensors are now standard tools. Yet, critics note that many of these devices were never designed to detect ghosts. Their readings are open to interpretation, just as candle flickers once were. Modern ghost hunters often emphasize neutrality, echoing early SPR investigators. Groups publish codes of ethics stressing consent, debunking, and historical research. The best investigations resemble field anthropology rather than thrill-seeking. Investigators study building history, interview residents, and attempt to recreate reported conditions. The most significant difference is access. Ghost hunting is no longer limited to scholars or the clergy.
Anyone can do it, baby.
I was just about to say, it is open to anyone with curiosity and a credit card. This democratization has led to an explosion of groups and mythologies, ranging from rigorous to reckless. Interestingly, modern ghost hunters often rediscover old ideas under new names. Electronic voice phenomena echo 19th century spirit raps. Shadow figures mirror medieval night terrors. The question remains unchanged. Who is there, and why are they here? Are we misinterpreting the noise of the living world? Do you think ghost hunters being more accessible is a good thing, or did it just kind of ruin it? What do you think?
Honestly, I have mixed feelings about it, and I always have. I've always looked at today's versions of ghost hunters with a little skepticism, but just as much curiosity. Like, I am very much on the fence about it, because sometimes it really does seem absurd and made up, and it's like, okay, well, just because you have a flashing light doesn't mean anything other than your electricity could be not the best. Like, but then there's other times where it's like, oh my God, no, this seems pretty legit. Like, I don't know. I don't know if they caught something. So I do go back and forth. And I think what you said makes a difference, where you can tell if the people doing it are in it for more of an anthropological thing, where they're trying to learn about this place or about this spirit, or try to connect with like them on a human type level, rather than the thrill seekers and the fame seekers who are like, let's just be crazy and do as much as possible and go too big, too fast, too much, and try to get as many followers as possible, and who cares if any of it's real. Because I do think that both sides of the spectrum and in between exist.
Unfortunately,
like we said, anybody can do it nowadays. You can do it as like in the same vein that people do escape rooms. Like you can literally go do ghost hunting as like a group activity for your party or something. So it's like some people take it very seriously and that's their career, that's their life, that is their religion. Some people, they're like, hey, it's Friday night and somebody just turned 25. Let's go ghost hunting for the night. Like they're just doing it for the fun of the moment and they're probably never going to think about it again. So, you know, I'm not saying that one is more likely to encounter a real ghost or not, but there's definitely a healthy dose of belief as well as a healthy dose of skepticism. As much as my like old-timey romantic heart is like, no, Victorian seances were obviously way more legit than this techno crap. I mean, technology does make things easier and better, and it is an advancement, like, period. Electricity and technology do make things better most of the time. We're the ones who abuse it into making it worse. So that's why I'm like, well, you know, the technology and evolution of the craft aspect, I think, is for the better. But the, like, regression of the seriousness of it, I think, is for the worse.
Okay. That makes sense.
Because it used to be that the only people doing it were those who were very seriously trying to either prove it's real or prove it's not, or really want to make contact with that one dead person or something. And now, like I said, the technology has gotten better for it, so that's cool. But the people using it are just anybody. So that's not always cool.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very fair. Now that we've talked about the old ways of ghost hunting and some of the more modern takes on it, we're going to talk about just some of the overall most famous ghost hunters throughout time. We've talked about some of them a little bit in just this episode, but we're going to dive into it a little bit more. Throughout history, certain individuals become closely associated with ghost hunting, not because they claim definitive answers, but because they shaped how hauntings were investigated, documented, and discussed. Their influence often came from method rather than belief. One of the earliest recognizable ghost hunters, like we talked about, was Harry Price, an English investigator active in the early 20th century. Price is best known for his work at Borley Reactory, but his lasting impact lies in his insistence on record keeping. He photographed alleged phenomena, logged environmental conditions, and invited skeptics to observe investigations. Though later accused of exaggeration, Price openly acknowledged the problem of fraud in paranormal research, once writing that ghost hunting attracted too many cranks and charlatans. That's a perfectly early, 20th century way to say that.
Yeah. It attracts too many cranks and charlatans.
With his mustache.
Yeah.
His work helped establish the idea that hauntings should be documented rather than merely believed. In the United States, we had Hans Holzer, who became one of the most prolific ghost investigators of the mid-20th century. Holzer investigated hundreds of cases and argued that hauntings were linked to unresolved emotional trauma.
So like residual energies.
Yes. He frequently worked with mediums and had a controversial practice that divided opinion. Critics accused him of confirmation bias, while supporters pointed to his extensive case records. Regardless of interpretation, Holzer's influence on modern ghost hunting is undeniable, especially in the idea that spirits might communicate rather than merely manifest. Within academic circles, Eleanor Sidgwick played a critical role in shaping responsible investigation. A mathematician and a senior member of the Society for Psychical Research, Sidgwick applied statistical analysis and critical review to ghost reports, exposing fraud while refusing to dismiss all experiences outright. Her work helped normalize skepticism as an essential part of paranormal inquiry rather than an opposing force. And then we're going to talk about another influential figure who was Charles Richet, a Nobel Peace Prize winning scientist who argued that unexplained phenomena deserved investigation without ridicule. Richet openly admitted when cases were fraudulent and left others unsolved. emphasizing that uncertainty was preferable to forced conclusions. His willingness to revise beliefs based on evidence set an important precedent rarely followed in the later popular ghost hunting. Charles Richet.
Yeah, he sounds smart.
He does. All these people were very smart, to be honest, when you break it down.
It's like you sound like you're trying to be as unbiased as possible.
Yeah.
Unlike these other people who are only fueling their own agenda.
That's the thing that, like, and when I was writing this, you kind of realize that all these famous people, like I wrote, they're famous not because they figured anything out or they have all this crazy proof, but it's because they took themselves seriously and
they were honest. Yeah, they're like, look, I don't have the answers, and I'm not going to make something up just so that somebody in the room will be happy with the story.
Yeah.
I'm not just going to force my own bias on it to come to a conclusion when I don't think that's the conclusion. I don't know what is. Like, that's good. And the fact that he's like, look, there are obviously fraudulent cases, but also, like, he said, what did you say? Like, something unexplained is always worth investigating without ridicule or something like that.
Yeah, he argued that unexplained phenomena deserved investigation without ridicule.
That's basically science, period. Like, that's science. You are investigating something unexplained. You are following a line of curiosity to see if you can find out where it leads and what that might be.
Yeah, every scientist was ridiculed before they discovered something.
Yeah. And think about even in I think we talked about it before, but like medicine. Today, people don't ridicule you for wanting to become a doctor. But long ago, when we didn't have titles such as doctor and they were called healers or something else, they were ridiculed. Yeah, it was like, oh, you're a witch. Like,
yeah, literally.
It's like, oh my gosh, you're using herbs to try to treat illness that clearly God has given to smite this person down. It's like, bro, take a breath. Maybe they're actually helping. Maybe they're not. But like,
maybe they're not.
Everywhere in science, every great accomplishment of mankind usually starts out by being like, well, what if? Let's just see. And a lot of those times, it starts barbaric or just very not current societal norms and accepted things going on.
Yeah.
Even if it's not necessarily immoral or unethical by like today's terms, at the time it might have been.
I mean, yeah, there's no reason, like I said, every scientist or every inventor or even philosopher was ridiculed for their beliefs before it's now written down in textbooks.
Yeah. Just because we study it today doesn't mean that they were getting high praise when they were spewing these ideas in the first place.
I mean, yeah, different ball game, but Vincent van Gogh, people like that, they weren't even famous till after they were married. After they were dead.
All it took was to get married and you could be famous.
And you could be famous. I wish. We're married. Come on.
Yeah. Where are those numbers? Hit subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe, like, come on. Perhaps the most publicly recognizable ghost hunters were Ed Warren and Lorraine Warren.
Ed! Lorraine!
Bathsheba!
Janet!
The Warrens investigated several high-profile hauntings and framed their work through Catholic theology, viewing paranormal cases as spiritual threats rather than neutral mysteries. Their approach drew criticism for lacking independent verification, but they never claimed objectivity. Their greatest impact was cultural. They transformed ghost hunting from an academic curiosity into a moral struggle between good and evil, reshaping how hauntings were perceived by the public. We talked about them already a few times, and we'll talk about them more in this season for sure. We have a few more Ed and Lorraine stories to go through.
They are very famous.
Yeah, whether for good or for bad.
They did a lot.
Yeah.
They were involved in a lot.
They went to a lot of places, I'll say that.
Yeah. I didn't say they were deeply involved in a lot.
Yeah, they showed up a lot.
They got themselves involved when they could.
One of the last two investigators we're going to talk about is my MVP, and that's only because he got shafted by Ed and Lorraine Warren by the Conjuring series, and that's Maurice Grosse, who was involved in the Enfield poltergeist investigation.
He did all of the work on that, and then the Warrens showed up, got kicked out 5 minutes later, and they got a movie series somehow.
Wrote a whole movie about it. Maurice Grosse represented a more restrained approach to investigation. Grosse documented events over extended periods and frequently admitted uncertainty. His notes reveal a focus on the emotional well-being of the affected family rather than proving a paranormal cause, earning respect from even skeptics in the field. Outside of Western traditions, we have figures like Kunio Yanagita, who influenced ghost investigation through documentation rather than fieldwork. By collecting and preserving first-hand accounts of Yurei encounters, Yanagita emphasized cultural context over literal interpretation, an approach later echoed by anthropologists studying hauntings worldwide. Taken together, these figures illustrate a pretty consistent pattern. The most influential ghost hunters were rarely those who claimed certainty. They were those who documented carefully, admitted doubt, and understood that the act of investigation often reveals more about the living than the dead. If we became famous ghost hunters in the near future, what do you think people would say about us?
I don't know. I would hope that they say similar things as these people, where it's like they have a healthy amount of doubt and skepticism and willingness to be honest instead of supporting their own bias all the time. But we're pretty wacky.
I was about to say, I think we'd be the clowns of the...
Yeah, we're pretty wacky. We don't take ourselves or much in life seriously.
We would die. We would go investigating in a dangerous area and just die. We'd go missing. Not even from ghosts. We like fell into a pit.
Yeah, we just get ourselves into a scenario. That, and I think that whenever one of us do start to believe in something, we go pretty full send. So I do feel like it'd be one of those things where it's like, from the outside looking in like this, we're like, oh yeah, I always have a healthy amount of doubt, or I can believe some things too. I'm not a full skeptic. But when you're actually presented in the moment, it's like, would we just absolutely be like, this is real? Like, and then lose, and everybody's like, okay, well, clearly they're just trying to get attention with this performance.
Are they drugged? No, we just have ADHD and a lot of passion.
Yeah. Because that's what happens. It's like when something confirms something you were either expecting or doubting in your head, when it happens one way or another, a part of you like gets excited about it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I have an answer. And yeah, you and I both have a little bit of ADHD. So that excitement manifests pretty largely most of the time.
Well, if you need any houses investigated, if you have a haunting that you want us to deal with, you can give us a call at 216-770-4881, and we'll come to your house, and who knows?
Yeah, I don't know what we'll do when we get there, but we'll bring a lot of notebooks and a video camera, and we'll see.
And I'll bring some peach Bellini. I wanted to say peach mimosa, but we'll bring some peach Bellini from Aldi. We'll have a nice spread, and the ghosts will be jealous.
Yeah, I don't know how to perform a seance, and I don't have any ghost busting equipment. But I do have notebooks and a camera.
I was going to say some like gross joke, like, oh, I'll bust a ghost.
Busting makes me feel good.
How did that get in there?
They knew what they were doing. They knew exactly what they were doing with that.
So the last thing we're going to talk about before closing it up is ghost hunting equipment. This isn't going to be too long, but I wanted to talk about all the tools and the gadgets that ghost hunters have used throughout time. We know about the greatest ghost hunters now. We've heard about how it happened in the past. We know about how they think about it in the future, but let's kind of dive into the exact tools that they used. Ghost hunting equipment has always reflected the era in which it has been used. While modern investigations often emphasize technology, the core purpose of these tools has remained largely unchanged: to document experiences, corroborate witness testimony, and create a record that can be examined later. What has shifted over time is not the goal, but the confidence placed in the tools themselves. Early ghost hunters relied almost entirely on human senses and written documentation. Investigators like Pliny the Younger and Enlightenment scholars often recorded observations by hand, noting sounds, visual anomalies, and environmental conditions, and the emotional state of witnesses. You had journals, affidavits, and sworn testimony. These were the primary equipment of early investigators. Candles, oil lamps, and later gas lighting were sometimes noted not as tools to detect spirits, but as variables that could explain shadows, drafts, or movement. The emphasis was on careful description rather than detection. By the 19th century, the rise of spiritualism introduced the first purpose-built ghost hunting tools. You had seance tables, planchettes, and spirit trumpets, and later on Ouija boards, were all designed to facilitate communication with the dead. While many of these tools were later exposed as susceptible to conscious or unconscious manipulation, contemporary investigators treated them as experimental devices rather than toys. Members of the Society for Psychical Research documented how tools behaved under controlled conditions, often concluding that results could not be separated from human influence. Even so, these devices marked a shift towards interaction rather than passive observation. The early 20th century brought photography into ghost hunting. Investigators like Harry Price used still cameras to capture alleged apparitions, light anomalies, and moving objects. Many famous ghost photographs from this era were later explained as double exposure, lens flare, or photographic defects, but at the time, photography was viewed as an objective witness. I mean, I could see that. You could make anyone believe.
I mean, yeah.
Once you got like the trick of the trade for that like double exposure and shit, you could just take a picture of anything and be like, that's haunted.
Yeah, and cameras were so new and so rare, it's not like they were in every man's thing like we have on our phones now, that most people wouldn't know the difference. And even if you told them that's an exposure spot or something, they'd be like, what does that mean? That's a ghost. Like,
well, yeah, what the fuck is an exposure?
Yeah, like, I don't know what the hell aperture is, but that looks like a ghost to me, so.
Modern ghost hunting equipment expanded rapidly with advances in consumer electronics. Digital audio recorders became standard tools for capturing what investigators call electronic voice phenomena, or EVP. These recordings are typically reviewed for faint sounds or voices not noticed in real time. Skeptics argue that EVP is largely a product of auditorial pareidolia, where the brain imposes patterns on random noises. Many investigators acknowledge this criticism and treat EVP as anecdotal rather than conclusive. You also have electromagnetic field meters, or EMF meters. They are among the most recognizable tools used today. Originally designed to detect electrical wiring issues and appliance emissions, EMF meters were adopted by ghost hunters based on the belief that paranormal entities might manipulate electromagnetic energy. Critics note that EMF fluctuations are common in buildings and easily influenced by phones, wiring, and environmental factors. Even proponents of the EMF generally agree that these readings alone cannot indicate a haunting and must be contextualized. Across all eras, one constant remains. Ghost hunting equipment does not function as a detector of ghosts, but it functions as a recorder of anomalies. Historically, the most respected investigators have treated their tools as aids to observation, not arbiters of truth. Equipment can document experiences, but interpretation always returns to human judgment. In this way, modern ghost hunting equipment mirrors the candlelit notebooks of the past. The tools have changed, but uncertainty remains, and perhaps that is the most honest inheritance ghost hunters ever had. A question for this one, because it might play into what we might be doing soon. If you heard your voice on a recording that kind of sounded like your name, would you be convinced, or would you just chalk it up to something?
If I heard my voice or just a voice?
A voice that kind of sounded like your name, though. Like, say we're in a building, we record, and you hear like a...
I don't know. I am kind of a big skeptic, so like for sounds especially, I already don't have the greatest audio processing when I'm just having a clear as day conversation in a quiet room with one other person. So when there's static or it sounds far away or if it sounds muffled, odds are, even if it was you, I'd probably just still be like, what did they say?
What if we had it in like recording?
And in a recording, I might be able to be like, okay, well, I definitely heard something, but it would have to be clear like as
Kate.
fuck for me to really be like, oh my God, he definitely said my name. Like,
I'm just imagining like just a clear room, like Kate.
I'd be like, what the fuck? I'd be pretty freaked out if it was like that. I'd be like, okay, that one. He stopped the static to get real serious with me.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and again, like, I'm not a full skeptic to the point where I'm gonna believe nothing happened or nothing was there. But to get something that specific, where like, oh, did you hear your name being called? That would take some pretty undeniable proof.
Okay, that's fair.
But like I said, I would definitely admit to if it's like, oh my God, I heard something. What was that? It would have to be pretty clear for me to then come to a full conclusion on like, was it a word? Was it a sound? Could we have made the sound, or was it definitely something that wasn't us or the room? And then I'd go from there. I'd be like, what do we think, class?
Fair. So to close it up, ghost hunting has never been one thing. It has been prayer, science, folklore, therapy, and spectacle. From Roman philosophers to modern investigators, the tools have changed, but the impulse remains the same. We seek the dead not because they are loud, but because they refuse to stay silent in our stories. And perhaps that is the true art of ghost hunting. Not chasing shadows, but standing still long enough to ask whether the shadow is trying to tell us something about ourselves. So I don't really have a conclusion question in this, like we would ask, normally. Do you think this place was haunted?
Right.
But I'll just ask in general, what do you think of ghost hunting now that you've heard a little bit about its history?
I mean, I feel like I kind of already told you. Like,
You still feel the same?
yeah, I think that there's a healthy dose of realness, a healthy dose of fraudulent activity, and a healthy dose of in between where maybe people believe something happened, but there's not really any true evidence, or the technology failed them or something. Like, I think it's a whole spectrum.
It's fair. I feel like most of our mysteries turn out to be a full spectrum.
Because I think some of it's legit and some of it is definitely not. Like, you can't just believe everybody about everything.
Yeah, that's a dangerous road to go down.
Yeah, like, you gotta have some skepticism and doubt in life. Ask those questions, baby.
So now we're going to move on to date night debrief. We're going to debrief from our little mystery, and I'm going to start with our question, which, if you had to watch one show for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
We kind of already do this.
We have a rotation. You got to think what would be the only one.
I was going to say, we have a handful of shows, though. Gosh, it's hard. It's hard to pick just one. But probably How I Met Your Mother.
That's fair. That show just has a really good blend of like all the emotions, though. Like, I would get it.
Yeah, like, you have dry humor, you have classic humor, you have potty humor,
in your face, just
you have random musical moments,
Mhm.
you have very heartbreaking moments, you have random awkward friends in real life. Like, there's a lot to it, and it's a good cast, and the plot of the show is by no means perfect, and it suffers what all sitcoms suffer in that. By the end of the series, every character on that show is a terrible person. But, like, that's true for all sitcom shows. But I like that one a lot.
That's fair. I mean, mine's very close too. I was going to pick Scrubs, so that has all the same.
That was probably my second choice.
Yeah, that has all the same stuff to it.
That one I think is a little bit more serious or more emotional at times. I think just because it's in a hospital.
No, 100%. No,
like it's not friends hanging out at a bar or in their apartment. You're at a hospital. So even when they're joking around or nothing bad is happening, it's still like that one floor up, something bad might be happening.
Yes,
They're just not showing it in this episode. Like it's kind of, that's always there. End of the day, it would just, a sitcom.
Yeah, I was about to say, like a sitcom.
Yeah. The Office, How I Met Your Mother, Scrubs, anything in that vein, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
As my forever show.
Yeah, 100%. Well, that's easy enough then. Do you have any updates or any free talk you want to talk about? I'm losing my main job. That's not fun, but that's happening in my life.
Yeah, and I totaled my car, so it's been a fun week. This is a great time to be alive in America, people.
Thriving.
Yep. Getting layoffs, losing our car. What else? We had to pay our taxes at the same time. Like, man.
If you want to help out.
It all hits you at once, people.
please like and subscribe to this show and share it with your friends.
No, all is well. I'm just glad the car took all the damage and that no people, like everybody, nobody was hurt. Nobody was mad.
Except that grandma.
Yeah, I did kill a couple grandmas.
A couple grandmas?
You killed those kids on their way to prom. No one was hurt except the car.
And that bus full of grandmas.
Hey, you know that Mista lady? Yeah, I think I killed her.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't really have any too much personal updates besides that or any free talk.
I know. We don't have the most fun free talk life updates this week.
No, this one was kind of downer.
It's okay. We're moving on, you know? Life happens and we're still alive, so we're going to deal with it and it's fine.
Maybe share something good that happened in your life. That'll make us feel good. Yeah, leave us a comment about something good that you experienced lately. Or about the car crash you got into that killed a bunch of grandmas.
How many grandmas have you murdered this week?
I think Kate has the high score. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us, and be sure to come back every week for a brand new episode and a brand new mystery.
We hope you enjoyed tonight's episode, and remember, you can reach out to us with your questions, your comments, your own mysteries, or episode ideas. We've got social media at Mystery Date Podcast on all the platforms. We've got an email, mysterydatepodcast@gmail.com. We've got a website, mysterydatepodcast.com. On there, you can also leave a voice message. You can find our episodes, our blogs, all the things. And like Christian mentioned earlier, we have the mystery hotline now as well, which is 216-770-4881. You can call that number and tell us your spooky stories, tell us your ghost stories, give us episode ideas, comment on our episodes, answer the date night debrief questions. Just hit us up, people. Let's be friends.
Just hit us up, people. Come on. Yeah, let's be friends.
Yeah.
Come on.
Let's talk about weird shit together.
And be sure to share this podcast with your friends or even your enemies. We're not going to judge, and we appreciate it so much. Every like, follow, subscribe, every interaction that you do on this show means so much, and it makes us do little happy dances, and it lets the algorithm know that people are enjoying what we're putting out and shares it with others. And maybe one day we can grow this into a nice little coven of mystery date lovers, and we'll all go on a big mystery date together. That's all, so be safe and have a great rest of your day or night.
And remember, every good mystery deserves a date. Bye.